Oh, I don't have a gavel. All right, this special meeting of the Judson Board of Trustees is hereby called to order at 5:31 p.m. I'm very pleased that you have taken the time to join us this evening. In compliance with the State Government Code on Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome from the entire school board. Thank you for your interest in Judson ISD. We have established a quorum, and I will call roll. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to get you your clickers. Sorry. Oh, you got your clickers.
She got it.
Everybody's got their clicker? Okay, perfect. All right, you can mark your attendance. Okay, we have 5 members present. Mr. Macias, I believe, is working, and Ms. Poteet could not join us this evening. All right. All right, first up on our agenda is the public comment period. This is a time for citizens, staff, parents, or students to provide comments to the board. A meeting that is open to the public under the Act is one that the public is entitled to attend. However, the Act does not give the public a right to speak at such public meetings except through the proper channels. Before we begin, I will remind our audience members of the board's procedures for handling public comment. Anyone who wanted to speak during the public comment portion of this meeting was required to sign up prior to the start of the meeting. Each public comment speaker will be allowed to speak a maximum of 3 minutes. Yielding of time to other speakers is not permitted. As this is a special meeting, comments are only allowed on a posted agenda item. Speakers are to keep their comments civil and courteous and avoid using profanity. Speakers will not be allowed to discuss students who are not their own. While speakers may criticize any act, omission, policy, procedure, program, or service of the board, personal attacks or complaints about individuals will not be allowed. If you have a specific complaint against an individual, I am required to stop you and direct you to seek resolution through our district's grievance process. DGBA for employee complaints, FNG for parent or student complaints, and GF for community complaints. Grievance forms can be obtained at any campus administration office or the central administration offices. Our first public comment speaker tonight is Ms. Marilyn McKinney.
Good evening. Part of the speech that was just read to us about making comments was, if you have a specific complaint against somebody, I'm going to stop you and refer you to policy DGBA, file a grievance. That's the long and the short of it, if you're an employee DGBA, and 2 other policies if you're not, depending upon what the category is. They're going to look at complaints regarding discrimination, harassment, and retaliation against school board members this evening. My question is, were these complaints ever filed per policy as DGBA? Oh, sexual harassment? That's policy DIA, if it rises to the level of Title IX. But in order to rise to the level of Title IX, any kind of complaint, you have to claim you're being discriminated against, harassed, or retaliated against based on your belonging to one of or more of 7 protected classes. So that's my second question regarding that. Okay, doesn't meet one of that. You're not going to claim I'm being discriminated against, harassed, retaliated, whatever, because I'm not part of one of these classes. We're back to policy DGBA. But even if you do claim that, guess what? Policy DIA says you file with Title IX coordinator. If it's a disability thing, the ADA coordinator, or anything else, with the superintendent, unless it's against the superintendent. And then there are other channels that you use for that. They have a policy in here that's a grievance policy. Again, where is the grievance for these complaints against these individuals? You don't post allegations, you follow protocol. And the real kick in the knee is, if you want to sue the district, this policy says you have to file a grievance first. This policy also says, if you don't like the outcome of the special policy for those things, you file a grievance under DGBA, contesting the results. Policy DH says, an employee wishing to express concerns, complaints, or criticism shall do so through appropriate channels. See DGBA. That's the grievance policy. I want to know, at what point are we going to stop this kind of posting? That's just like saying, Ms. Jones, have you stopped cheating on your income tax? I'm going to post that. Now, if she says, yes, I have, she's been cheating on her income tax. If she says, no, I haven't, she's still cheating on her income tax. You've poisoned the well publicly, and that leads to all the mess on the Facebook and all of that. And that you're doing because you have not followed protocol.
All right, thank you, Ms. McKinney. Next up will be Scott Willis.
I've come up before and I've used these same words about this. Witch hunts, retribution, some sort of agenda going on. Whether it is or not, that's how it looks. Because this now has appeared mysteriously, and I don't know anything about this. But again, how it looks, where's Dr. Jacklick? What happened to him? I don't know. There's all kinds of suppositions we can make about why he's not here anymore. And I mean, we have another fully qualified person here, but again, why? I mean, somebody could start filling in stories, because remember, stories are what people are going to remember. They're going to read newspaper articles, they're going to do this, they're not going to be on, the people in the public are not going to be on our local Facebook page. That's only the people who live here. And they're going to say, what happened to Dr. Jacklich? Oh, I wonder what could have happened. Did anything happen that the board tried to make him do something he wasn't comfortable with? That would be a good reason to walk off and do whatever. When your brand is, I beg your pardon, when your brand is like with many of us, our word, our bond for things, that I'm not comfortable with that, so I won't do that. I've had those fights. I'm sure we've all had those kinds of fights with our bosses that that's not ethical, that's not moral, that's not
Sorry,
legal.
Mr. Willis, Dr. Jacklich isn't on the agenda, so since it's a special
okay.
meeting,
No,
I'm
no
sorry, I do
worries.
have to
I'm
keep
so
you on an
sorry.
agenda item. I'm sorry, I never
I'm
stop
moving
you,
on,
you know that.
I'm moving on. So, but what we're talking about here, whatever, it's the appearances. The very appearances of this. Number one, folks, you got to look back at our Constitution. If you need some government teachers to bring in here, I know a few. It needs to be and is set up everywhere to become incredibly difficult to take our representatives and not allow them to represent the people that elected them. That's what it is. And whatever is happening here, now we have 3 members on here. So basically we have 1 at large and 2 that are not, 2 area ones. These people are not going to be represented any longer. And retribution going against this. There is a huge article that's in the UT Law Library that covers this, how to deal with rogue board members. And it goes through the finest legal minds in Texas. And nearly everything we've done is exactly what they say don't do. Since we started with the superintendent. It is nuts. This is $70,000 in investigation, so that's 3 more teachers we don't have. We already ate 60% of your budget got saved by 48% of the employees. The employees that do the actual work that must be happen here. Teachers teach. Nobody in this building teaches. The teachers do the teaching. And if you have to choose somebody in this building and somebody that's teaching, you need to take somebody in this building, but we didn't because we were too busy chasing investigations so that we had Moat Casey's plan put in with no thought, no deliberation, no thought.
Okay.
Going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Willis. All right, that concludes the public comment. All right, we will move on our agenda to our discussion and possible action about the district's mission, vision, and portrait of a graduate. I will turn it over to you, Dr. Gibson.
Thank you, Madam President and trustees and senior staff members. If I may, just in way of introduction, kind of present maybe a through line. And there's a packet that's sitting there for everybody, and there's a working agenda on the top, and I'm going to break it off. I'm going to set it right here. My goal is to follow it as best I can. At the back of the packet, the back 2 pages, but it actually starts on the back of the 3rd page. Thank you. Let me clip up. think this works better for the recording. So the framework for school board development starts 3 pages from the back, on the back of that 3rd page. So it occurs to me that it's probably good to just think about a through line from the work that I, through Moat Casey, am basically concluding. It's kind of like the end of the beginning, I guess, in some ways. So there's some tough decisions. Some of them just mentioned $35 million deficit, that if that continued for 2 more years, nothing else matters. All your savings is gone, and the state of Texas will not let you continue to operate if all your savings is gone. In fact, they're going to try to stop you sometime before that. And so real tough work to, look at. We didn't quite get all the way to the 35, but I'm working with a lot of districts right now. We got almost close. We got close enough that it might have taken the tool of financial exigency to get the rest of the way. And so just to be clear, there was a decision made that's a tough enough decision that, it's close enough. The goal, the ultimate goal always was to just keep the cash burn, my term, not necessarily, it's my term, but the cash burn to stop somewhere near where the hard line is, the do not cross line on your fund balance or your savings. I know Dr. Dixon, we've known each other for as long as both of us have been superintendents, and that's just a do not cross line. Is that fair, ma'am? Just a do not cross line. We haven't even talked about this, but I know quite comfortably after standing around water coolers for 30 years at conferences that we agree that that's a do not cross. Okay, so that took campus consolidation, and I as tough as that is, it took campus consolidation and it took a staff reduction to make that happen. And I know we generally don't, this board and the staff don't respond to public comments, but I'm neither board nor staff. So from the beginning, and it's not a negative to anyone for practicing democracy and speaking, but we analyzed 6 classifications of PEMS codes and staff, which included central office, and which included campus administration, which included teachers, of course, and professional support and auxiliary. And in those 6 categories, it was pretty clearly determined once we did a robust PEMS cleanup that each of the 6 categories were equally overstaffed, which is kind of good news in the sense that we can proportionally go at this. So each of those 6 categories have to be equally proportionally reduced in order to move your expenditures in personnel from 91%, and Dr. Gosh, I think we got it to around 85 or 86%. Again, the Moat case, generally speaking, we say somewhere from 80 to 84. I mean, that's like somewhere in there. And the challenge, once you start spending more than 80, you can spend 100% on personnel, by the way. I don't think I've ever said that. But you can't run your lights, and you can't run electricity, diesel. So there's a point where you're spending so much on personnel that there are no resources left to just pay the electric bill. Okay, so for Moat Casey, somewhere between 80 to 84% is kind of the sweet spot today. That may change, but that's about, and by the way, that was 70-something% probably when Dr. Dixon and I were in our prime, and it's crept up and up and up just due to the competitive nature of paying for teachers and staff. So I just want to be clear and just remind everyone that that's the journey that we've just gone through, and that's tough stuff. I mean, it's not easy stuff at all. I think we've navigated it pretty well. If I may, I was reading in the newspaper the other day, and I think you guys were kind of singled out as the one that took the tough steps, and others are taking deficit budgets, and I had to do a double take on the read, but it's like, wow, that sounded really positive that, this district took the tough steps. So at the end of this journey from the beginning with Dr. Jacklich, he had wanted, and Dr. Dixon agreed, that we shouldn't stop with the last act being, the campus consolidations and the staff reductions. We should do what I'm going to call like an interim mission, vision, value process, an interim. Maybe not your long-term mission, vision, value, although I think the product that we have tonight's pretty good from an interim approach. But I guess to just say it real bluntly, we just didn't want the last time that we were out in the community to be a forum where we were working on consolidation of campuses or staff reduction, if that makes sense. There needs to be like a picture forward. Even if it's for just the coming year, there needs to be a picture forward. And so there was a process that was cobbled together pretty quickly this summer. I mean, no doubt about it. A great response. I see some of the faces. I don't know all the names, but I see some of the faces that we had a good time with. Good time if you're a nerd. I mean, sitting. Okay, I heard a laugh. Yeah, working on just listening and trying to get our finger on the pulse of the community and what the desires of the community. And what I guess tonight, this is not proposed as the ultimate long-term vision for Judson ISD, but it could be. I'm not saying it's not, but it really is just we need a mission, vision, and our values established for the start of this year. Like that, is that, and I'll stop there. Is that a fair way to characterize it? You two, is that a fair way to characterize it?
Yeah, I think so. And it's been a very long time since we've done this process. I believe 2018 was when the people were on with me when we last did this. So having something to move us forward till we have a permanent superintendent and they've got their feet wet on the ground and go through this process. But for now, we just need something. We need that Northern Star.
Right. So, and then I have been accused of turning any board workshop on any subject into a good governance workshop. So I accept that accusation. So just at the back of this packet, just a reminder, this is what the state of Texas says that a school board should do. And, it occurred to me that, maybe I haven't leaned into this enough, and maybe this is the way we should start every single workshop. So the framework for school board development has 5 components to it, and the first one is vision and goals. And so, if we were like, and these are not necessarily, it's not stated that they're in order, but in my mind they're in order, because that's like baseline. Then you get to systems and processes. Y'all follow me on the bolds. Then you get to progress and accountability. Then you get to advocacy and engagement, and then you've got to sustain the energy behind it. So are we measuring synergy? Are we measuring teamwork? And I would argue that with Casey, we want to measure that up front. Like we want to check in on that up front. But does that make sense that they kind of stack in that order? So if you go back to vision and goals, and just to be clear, how many? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points up there. So keep the district focused on the well-being of all children. So this is just saying that if we're going to set some interim measures and have some systems and processes, if you look at the next 2, progress and accountability and systems and processes, you have, I think you just called it North Star, but I'm going to just call it mission, vision, values. Like you can, if we're going to set a target, what are we pointing the target towards? Well, that should be a portrait of a graduate. And by the way, since the time I've worked with your group, I think I'm going to just anchor on portrait of a graduate moving forward and not profile of a graduate, because it came out in one of the community meetings and I loved it, that it's more of a painting, like we're painting the vision rather than plugging it into a computer and letting it spit out, which is more of like a profile. I like that it's more of a human effort with portrait. That cost me a bunch of documents that I'm having to change, so thank you very much for that. But I really like this concept of a portrait of a graduate. We're working together to paint this vision of where we want this to go. But I just want to be clear, and I'm going to extend a little bit on the governance concept tonight. I think this last year, you have an interim superintendent up here and a really good one, but she is really clear that she is the interim, and she, like me, have no desire what our expiration date has come up on not having interim in front of our word. Is that a fair statement? Okay, so we're willing to pitch in and we're willing to help, but we're not the permanent thing. And so if you think about the board, these words are not in this framework, but if like I'm picturing it in my mind, boards generally shake out in 3 buckets. And I mean just in general, boards all across the state. So the majority of the time they're in control mode, or the majority of the time they're in passive mode. And it might shock y'all to know that there are many boards across the state that are having trouble right now because they're stuck in passive mode. They're not doing this stuff at all. So there's no system for progress and accountability. It's just kind of like show up 12 times a year, if that, and vote on the lunch prices, and like then we're out. So those are like the extremes: control mode and passive mode. We're a functioning board, and a functioning team of 15, as I've called it before, should land is mentor mode, partner mode. So I'm a board member, and I understand my role at the strategic level, but I'm interacting with the tactical level in a very appropriate way so that we can hit this progress and accountability. Progress and accountability is not, the gentleman said it earlier, nobody up here at this table is teaching one child. And he's right. It's the assurance that the teaching of children is occurring. That's the responsibility at this table, the assurance or insurance of that. So you've slipped into control mode, but it's almost that you've had to, in some ways, positive presupposition. You've had to. You have an interim superintendent sitting right there, so that puts you kind of in control mode. The board has to take on some things, in the interim. I think the point I'm trying to make is it's got to be crystal clear with the board that your goal is to get out of control mode and get into mentor partner mode, and not let the pendulum swing so far that you wind up in passive mode. So we've got to build the systems to find this middle ground in between. So I mean, there may be a feeling, that this mission vision was kind of like done fast, and it was, but that was control mode. I mean, the board, I would argue needed to, we've got to get some targets set for the beginning of the year. I don't think anyone on this board tonight thinks that when and if a permanent superintendent is in place, and I think that was referenced earlier, so I'm not saying it for the first time, when a permanent superintendent is in place, if he or she wants another process, okay. I mean, arguably, it could be, but it's not going to be because no mission, vision, or portrait of a graduate exists. I mean, so this was just an effort to make sure that one existed. And truthfully, I'm looking back at my notes driving in, it just by the time school starts, which we're barely getting done. Like that was the target, like have a version done by school start. I'll just stop right there, because but I just, not the whole thing, just my introduction. She's like, wait a minute, I'm just stopped. But does that create any questions or any thoughts? Or that's just kind of, I believe that's where we are at this point, just kind of a state of where we are in the process. So, I'm going to go ahead and ask this. We got these 5 components, and Madam President, I'm going to pick on you for just a second since you're sitting close. But the board, and I would argue the board and the senior leader team, with the senior leader team's support, should execute on each and all of these 5. Okay, is that a fair statement? So I trust you can't, like, we're really good at vision, but we're not very good at systems and processes. Or we're really good at synergy and teamwork, but we're not. And by the way, if you were going to drop, the one that gets dropped on this is the 4th one, and it really shouldn't. Advocacy and engagement. That's the one that I think sometimes, and part of the problem with advocacy and engagement is when the second we say the word advocacy, most trustees across the state thinks that means going to the Granite building and, walking the hallways, and testifying or dropping a card. That's not the definition of advocacy. Advocacy is coherence making. And it starts in the local community. So the board has an effort to try, that's transparency, and that's community meetings, and that's listening sessions. Let's just look at Roman numeral 4. We demonstrate our commitment to and advocate on behalf of the shared vision. That's why there was a perceived need that there needed to be a shared vision if you're supposed to advocate for the shared vision. Regularly report progress to the community. Ensure multiple forms of two-way communication. Y'all have heard these words coming out of my mouth. Those are not my words. I just want to be clear. I'm just reading and just doubling down that that's the right stuff. I think we talked about, well, I would argue that the SWOT exercise that was recently done is a good example, not the only example, but a good example of two-way communication. For those of you that attended, is that a fair, like that? Because it was just kind of going back and forth, and we're just writing, and y'all got a chance to make fun of my spelling, and all the things. By the way, everything got spelled right at the end once it got typed into the computer, so just all the comments on my spelling and handwriting were much appreciated, my delicate ego. So I guess I think this board and most boards need to double down on these 5 things. And this district does not have a chance going forward unless there is a serious effort for the team of 8 and the team of 15 to really get their head wrapped around these 5 things. I'm just going to leave it right there and see if anybody has any questions. All right.
I don't have a
Yes,
question,
ma'am.
but I do
Yes.
have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is how disappointed I was not to be able to attend any of these meetings. I wasn't notified that we were pursuing, moving forward with creating mission, vision, and goals. I learned about the meetings by a calendar invite after I was already on a trip that I had notified our board secretary that I would be unavailable because I was out of town. And so I was not able to be there at any of the community meetings because I wasn't consulted in advance. This isn't the first time that's happened, and it's extremely disappointing that it continues, that things are done without consulting the full board. I would have liked to have been there. I would have liked to have given input and listened. I would have liked to have represented my constituency, and that was taken away from me.
Okay.
So I apologize to my community.
Thank you for sharing. I thank you for sharing. I'm not going to really, it was hurried. I mean, and I don't know if it helps to know that it was trying to get it done before school started. And if I didn't make that clear, then that's on.
That would have been nice to know that we
Yeah.
were even doing this because
Yeah.
the full board was not notified that this was something that was going to be moving forward.
Okay. I will accept your feedback, ma'am.
I think back to your original question, in the military, you have 2 different decision-making processes. One of them is the deliberate decision-making process, and the other one is the crisis one, right? And the crisis one obviously looks way different, and that's what the board's kind of been in for the last year, right?
Yes.
It's just triage mode of thing after thing after thing, and that is only sustainable in war for so long. And then you have to go back to doing things very deliberately and intentionally. And that's what this framework is about very intentional processes and things that have to be in place for a board. Because then once those things are aligned, that is what you anchor your board meetings to. That's how you create your agendas. That's how you facilitate the discussion that is student-focused and student outcome-focused, because then everything ties back to your goal. Everything ties back to your mission, whether you're buying air conditioners or new buses or, changing the adventure club price, right? All of those things are all part of these guiding documents that you have. And then it can really help the board stay up in that strategic realm. again, back to why did we paint the barn red? What is the process for
Right.
selecting paint colors, right? And making sure we tease out the difference between a tactical or operational question and us staying in the strategic realm. So I think once we have, when I first joined the board, we had a bunch of stuff on the dais that we're supposed to anchor ourselves to. All those things have disappeared now, right? Because we just weren't things we were using. So it's exciting to have these things that we can now start, just like in Eureka Math, right? There's common academic language that students get used to, right? Call it the denominator if that's what it is. There is common language that our board and our entire district are going to start using that same common language.
Right.
And then that will anchor everybody together toward that same mission, so.
That's good. And Ms. Kenoyer, the feedback that I'm taking, and not asking you to respond to this, but this is an interim measure, and it doesn't need to be perceived as the final product, I guess is what I'm saying. It's an interim measure, and it was done quickly, so I'm not going to disagree.
Well, I wouldn't have known that because,
Yeah.
again, not
Yeah.
notified, not talked to,
Yep.
no discussion that this is moving forward. Board leadership completely disregarded the entire.
It was in an email from Dr. Jacklich. I can forward that over to you.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm just asking all trustees tonight, however we got here at a pretty decent product for the start of school. Yes, ma'am.
I just have one comment in regards to the community meetings that we had. It was not for us as trustees to go and give our input.
Right, I pretty much shut you out.
It was to be there. Yeah, you said, no, you need to sit and listen.
Yeah.
I had an invite from Ms. Ryan to co-host a meeting.
We were there in attendance.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't know because I was never notified about what the meetings were about and why they were going to be
I wasn't
happening.
notified either, but when I got there, he said.
But I
"You're
couldn't
here
get there
to-"
because I didn't have advance notice.
Okay, can I finish my comment? Thank you. It was not for us to give our input. It was to listen.
Didn't say it was.
You said you couldn't be there to speak and represent your community.
Representing my community in attendance, for them to see me and know that I'm there and listening.
I just hope that this board can move forward. It doesn't seem like it's going to be able to. It's just nonstop, back and forth.
Yeah.
You know, we were there to listen to people. I understand you weren't there. I wasn't consulted if I was available on the day that my meeting was. I got the invite, I showed up, I sat and listened to the people who attended.
We built almost like a little arena inside the spectators and asked senior leaders and trustees to just sit and listen, and I facilitated. I mean, that was the structure, and we moved tables every time to get it to that structure.
Correct. And just to clarify, Ms. Holmes had sent out, you did let us know if you're available. You might not remember because you might not have known what it was for. Everyone sent in their July availability, and then that was Dr. Jacklich and Dr. Gosh bounced that off of Moat Casey's availability. And with it being summer, people's availability is there was no week that everybody was available. It just wasn't going to happen. So all we had to do was maximize the most people that could be available during a week, and that just happened to be what district set up and what could work. So I wish you can see our attendance, having all 7 people at board meetings, even now these days, is getting very challenging. We have people some very challenging schedules going on, and all we can do is, the work still has to get done, whether 7 people are available or not. So I'm glad, at least the majority of the board, at least 6 of the 7 board members were able to attend, and that was really nice to see. And I know Ms. Stanford and I got to see all 6 of them. It was a long week, but some long nights, but I'm glad we did have representation in all of them.
So having said that, if we're going to just proceed on. Okay, so on the back of the working agenda is a summary of the strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. So the first exercise we did was SWOT. And by the end of it, a couple of the community members behind me, I asked them what they were doing this week while I was conducting more of these because they really caught on, and we got a lot of really good feedback. So just chart paper, and it's not magic. I think I might have said I was going to the hotel room to type. That's not true. I was taking pictures of it and sending it to people, and they were typing it up. And but all the same, every word got in. And then we were running through themes. The SWOT is not here to necessarily go through line by line by line. I like to say that once you do a process like we did and you conduct a SWOT, you keep it in your line of sight. So you keep the SWOT nearby and you check everything. So in other words, in the 3 weeks or 2 weeks since then, every time there was an iteration of a mission statement that I worked on and I generated with some of my colleagues, then we would go back and compare it to the SWOT. Does that make sense? Like you're constantly just bouncing back and forth. And I like the overall themes, and I think all of the, I'll just read these real quick, but community pride is strong, but trust needs rebuilding. Communication is the most urgent cross-cutting issue. Consistency across campuses and systems is a major priority. Leadership alignment and governance affects public confidence. Student support and safety require focused attention. Staff support, morale, and retention are critical. Judson ISD has strong programs to build on, and external competition and enrollment pressures require proactive response. And there were a lot of words in there, and there's still even a lot of words on these summaries, but those 8 statements are the top line statements. So when everything's in there, every single, and y'all remember every time there was a check mark or someone said ditto or whatever, that got typed twice. I want to make sure. Does that make sense? So now it's going in there 2 times, and it's going there 3 times, and that's how these cross-cutting themes emerge. In the interest of
No, I just want everybody, and this is going to be really important over the next 2 months too, because as we start our TRE discussions over this week and over the next month or so, these are going to have some very valuable nuggets for TRE discussions. And then in August, when we go back to the balanced scorecard, redoing our goals and everything we're doing, this is going to be very valuable information also, so.
All right, so that's how we got there, and then there was the product, and there's the overarching themes. And on the working agenda, we're down in that section 5, and so review, that's the work for tonight. So we're on the very front page, so we just reviewed the SWOT themes. So now, just in way of anyone that's listening and that wasn't a participant in it, we didn't sit and wordsmith mission statement drafts and all of that, and the group kind of laughed at me. You know, a mission statement at its core is not that complicated. It's present tense statement. It can be as complicated as you want it, but it's a present tense statement of what you do and who you do it for and why you do what you do for them. So it's kind of a trick question, but all 6 or 7 groups immediately said we are here for students. I just wanted to double check it and just make sure we are here. Our mission should be around students. Confirmed it 7 times. And so we wrote some initial keywords and phrases. So in other words, if you think who, what, why, the who was established, students. The what we do is what we gathered a lot of feedback from. And then why we do it, we gathered a lot of feedback. So if you look on, and I apologize that the pages aren't numbered, but we're starting now into the mission statement and drafting workbook. So we pulled who we serve, what we do, and why it matters. These were the much like the SWOT was summarized into the big statements, these were the big overarching statements. Then I double checked that against the SWOT, and I double checked that against the portrait of a graduate information, if that makes sense. So here, we've got a mission that we want to pop out of all these key words, but I want to do it with a line of sight on the SWOT and a line of sight on the portrait of a graduate, because the portrait of the graduate's really getting to the why it matters. So I wanted it to be even more than what we had on the bottom of the chart on why it matters. I really wanted it to line to the key concept of the portrait of the graduate. And I don't know, chicken or egg, maybe we should have started with that, but we'll get to it here in a minute. And so we had 3 options pop out. We're continuing in the packet here. So one of them, and by the way, the empowered for future success on mission option number 1, you don't have to keep that verbiage. It's just telling you that example leans into empowered for future success. And then when you go to option 2, that one leans more into the whole child strong character and global citizenship. And then when you lean into the third one, that one really leans into partnership, leadership, and lifelong learning. Okay, so those are the 3 overarching mission drafts that came out. Now, over the weekend, I started playing with these and then sending them to the board president. Do you have a, yeah. So we're just.
Sorry, I started hybriding a bunch of stuff because there was, and again,
Just show
Laura's
that-
brain was probably churning too because she saw this 6 times too and got to see all of the people. Would you mind, I guess you pass those down that way. Or here, I'm going to pass more down because they're only going to go one direction in.
So, and any one of these 3 might work on its own. The concept of tonight in my mind was to think about the hybrid. That's why when we started talking about the agenda, like what does a hybrid of these 3 potentially look like? And so the document that's coming around right now,
And I'm happy to talk
Yeah,
through it
okay,
and
yep.
kind of why.
just how we got to the hybrid version.
Correct, because yeah, there was great things in all 3 of those, but you can't have a 97-word mission statement because no one wants to. And unfortunately, you do have to get the number of verbs down and the number of adjectives down to a manageable thing so it's not too long. So what I had highlighted it and kind of came out with was Judson ISD partners with families and the community to educate, engage, and support every student on a relevant and purposeful education journey that prepares them to become inspiring, confident, and contributing members of our community. Now, there's some reasons I picked some of those phrases. One of our sessions came up, we had been very, very student-focused, but they had brought up how it's not just Judson. It takes a village to raise a child. And having our parents and families engaged in that process, engaged in our schools, engaged in the learning is how we make successful children. And then our partners out in our communities, whether it's our businesses giving apprenticeships or coming in to mentor kids, or all the other ways we get support for our from our communities, was something they felt was very important to have within kind of that core mission.
So you led it with mission option number 3, basically.
Yes.
Leaning into the partnership.
Into the part about the partnership. And then when I looked at verbs, we are here to educate students. You can't not have the word educate in there because if we do nothing else, that is our dictate from the state of Texas that we have to educate our kids. But all of the groups talked about students needing to be engaged in their learning and doing things that they want to learn, wanting to go to school, wanting to be in class, and not just listening to lectures, right? Being engaged in that learning process. And being supported was, if I had to pick one word to encompass like 50 different things, supported is the word for that, because we talked so much about bullying and conflict and social emotional learning and mental health and safety and security and everything, and how our students are supported every day is just as important. Because I think, people have heard me say, kids can't learn math if the bus doesn't pick them up with a smile and they don't come and they get breakfast, and they're not in a clean school, and all the other people who support everything that happens in our schools, we have to acknowledge that they are an integral part of, everything we do.
Which all of that, and by my estimation, really draws from mission option number 1, the middle part of that, because you're really empowered. That's part of the empowerment.
Yep.
So if this is a hybrid or a smash or whatever, we're going to lead with number 3, which is the engaged partners.
Yep.
So we're really, but then we're getting to this empowering and developing. Like then we're going to more mission number 1.
Yep, and then I'm going to give credit to Dr. Johnson, Paula Johnson, if she's out there, because the minute the word relevant came out of her mouth, like the room just kind of stopped talking, because that just hit. Because yes, you have to learn algebra, but you have to learn algebra and why do you need algebra, and how are you going to use that in the real world? So what we're teaching our kids have to be relevant after they leave, and how do we make what they are getting from their educational experience relevant out there to them? And then purposeful, because we talked a lot about kids in CCMR and just too many kids who are walking that stage without any cords or stoles across and no plan. We have tons that do, but if there's one that doesn't, I'm not sure if we've been successful at our mission. So their journey needs to be purposeful and headed some direction. If that's welding, cosmetology, Harvard, whatever that is for that student. And then there was a lot of talk about people being inspired, kids being inspired, right? Because we want them to be inspired to do things, about students being confident and building kids up as people to be great adults. And then our community, because we talked about how we're a legacy generational community. I know we have high mobility rates and we have a lot of military that go in and out, but we also have a vast majority of our communities that are generational. Mom went to our schools, grandma went to our schools, great-grandma went to our schools. They live in their grandma's house, you know, and recognizing that these kids are going to be our neighbors. So we need them to be a contributing member of Converse, Live Oak, Selma, because a good chance is they're going to be staying here. So that was kind of a lot of the discussion, why I cued in on those, because I saw those kind of themes across so many of the 6 meetings.
On the next to last word of the hybrid, it's interesting, and you know, we're not going to sit here and split hairs and wordsmith tonight, please. My mom was an English teacher, and I get a nervous twitch when we start that. But we say our community. To me, it occurs to me that there's 3 options for community. And I'm West Texas, and I apologize, so sometimes those words come out funny, but to you all it comes out funny, not when I get in the red dirt in West Texas, but our community, their community, or the community. Do you see how there's 3 ways to say that, and they are a little bit different.
Dr. Gibson,
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
point of clarification. Is this on?
Yes, it's on.
Right. So we have several options here. Are we picking from these options? Or sewing new options together from grabbing here, grabbing there? Because we have your packet.
Right.
And then we just got this one, which I
This
guess
one
is what
is-
you put together, Ms. Ryan?
Correct, and I assumed everybody came with their own ideas after they reviewed the packet. I'm not typed up like mine, sorry. I was
Yeah.
bored and got on the internet today.
So are we picking and voting? Or are we like mixing and matching?
The one that was provided tonight is a mix and match, I would argue, like that was an attempt at hybrid from the 3 options that I presented. I guess that's what I'm saying.
But I think the answer is no. I don't think we're trying to, it's not going to be 1, 2, or 3, unless somebody's really in love with 1, 2, or 3 as it is. I think we're trying to develop together in hopefully workshop style what we think that mission statement could be. Because we start school in a month. Or those extras.
I don't think I have one.
I was prepared to pick from a 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
I mean, there's good, strong parts about each one.
well, I'd
Can you
like.
tell us which one? and
Yeah,
why? Tell us which one and why.
Yeah, that's,
No, I said there's good, strong parts about
Oh, no,
each
I'm telling you, you said you were ready to pick one. Can you
No,
tell
I
us
thought
which
we
one and
were
why you like
going
that
to
one?
pick one.
Oh,
I'm not saying I'm ready to pick one, but I thought that's what we were going to do. Plug and play? Or are we going to kind of
well, I guess,
organically come up with a mix of everything?
well,
Because that could take a while.
that's exactly right, and that's why over the weekend, just knowing we had limited time tonight, I was like, can we just play around with the 3 and do a hybrid? And so the one that was distributed tonight is that hybrid, basically. And I'll just tell you, if I'm looking at the hybrid for tonight, what I like about the intro one, and it aligns to number 3 option that I provided last week, it's that Judson ISD is still taking the action, but right off the bat, you're saying you're doing it as a partner with the community.
And which one are you?
On number 3 option. And the hybrid version presented tonight, see, it pulls that lead statement. Because the other two start with just Judson ISD, and that's fine. It's your mission statement. But option number 3, clearly right off the bat, says the first step we take is we partner. Then we do the educate, the engage, the support, then we do those key actions.
I like 3.
Well, and I mean, I like
So maybe,
the,
can we break the hybrid apart and just let's break this in and talk about each segment?
I think that's a good way to do
segments
it.
of it, so.
I would
so let's-
propose that who does not like starting with the start of number 3? Let me ask it that way.
Wait, who does not like?
Yeah, well, you like the start of number 3. I like the start of number 3 because it leans into the first step as a
Partners with
partner.
families.
Then we start doing all the things. Is anybody against that being the start of it?
Can we read all 3 out loud?
Mission statement number 1, which leans into empowered for future success. Judson ISD educates, empowers, and supports every student with compassion and high expectations so they can discover their potential, develop knowledge and character, and succeed in changing the world as confident contributors to their community.
In a changing.
In a changing world, sorry, I misread that, and so I'm going to finish the last statement again. Succeed in a changing world as confident contributors to their community. Lots of powerful stuff in the middle of that one, I believe, which the hybrid pulled from. It pulled really from the middle of 1. This is getting really clear in my mind right now. It started with 3, and then it pulled heavily from 1 in the middle.
Well, that's a strong start to say that the district partners with families.
100%.
Yeah, so we can start with the who, all right? Does a sentence, I'm an English major, any other English? Because they're all math.
Yes.
Well,
There we
but
go, English, okay.
you're casting a broader net for the who right off the bat, saying it's the whole community and not just us at the school.
Yeah, so 2 is not as strong to me.
Let me read it, if you don't mind, and I think that was a good idea, Ms. Stanford. So mission number 2, Judson ISD provides safe, inclusive, and engaging learning experiences that nurture every student academically, personally, and ethically, inspiring creativity, critical thinking, integrity, and compassion, and prepare students to confidently contribute as future-ready global citizens. There are some good components in 2, but in my opinion, it sounds a lot like a lot of mission statements.
A lot of words.
Well, and go grab 100 mission statements off of school districts' websites nationwide. And that mission option number 2 is safe. I'll just
Yeah.
say that. It's,
Yeah.
okay, because it has all the key words that mission statements.
And I found a lot of those things ended up in, when I started to put a profile of a graduate words together, a lot of that stuff ended up in at least my version of the profile.
Well,
of a graduate.
that's a good point.
Because they wanted students who are critical thinkers. They want students who are, that was on everybody's list of what they wanted for.
I'm going to lean into that.
So I don't think, just because you don't pick a lot of 2 now, 2 may appear later.
Yeah, in the absence of a portrait of a graduate, you might need mission number 2. But
Correct.
you've got the portrait of a graduate to say a lot of these things.
And if you like it in 2, circle it, and let's make sure it ends up somewhere else.
Okay, that's, Ms. Stanford, again, that's option number 2. It's real functional. It's just very functional, and it has a little bit of like that portrait of a graduate. And then number 3, Judson ISD partners with families and the community to ignite, nurture, and empower every student to become lifelong learner and future leader who applies knowledge, character, creativity, and critical thinking to lead meaningful lives and strengthen the community.
I think lifelong learner is a strong part of that. I remember
Can we
that
do this
coming
bit by
out.
bit? Sorry, I get confused if we don't do it bit by bit. So,
There's agreement on the start of
yeah,
mission
can
number
we
3.
agree who the subject is, so, of the sentence? So Judson ISD partners with families and the community. That's the who of this statement. We're going to look around the room and say if that's not who the who should be. Okay, I don't see anybody
I hear
disagreeing with that.
consensus,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. The next part of that sentence is verbs, right? We got verbs in there. So 3 verbs that are in there right now are educate, engage, and support. So does anybody want to throw out alternate verbs that they think would be better than those 3? And there's lots of them in all 3 of those statements, all 3 of the drafts that he gave.
Yeah, educate's a stronger word than ignite, because ignite can mean many things, not all good. So,
Like, you want things to be aspirational, but not too
Yeah.
fluffy. If they're too fluffy, then they kind of don't mean anything.
to educate, nurture, and empower every student. But I like lifelong learner. So,
Hold on, that's the why. Hold on to that. That's at the end of the sentence. We're just doing verbs right now.
Any alternate recommendations to educate, engage, and support every student?
I think empower is a very strong word. I like it.
I mean, there's alliteration with educate, engage, and empower. I mean, you're kind of doubling down.
put all the words in several hats and just pick. But engage is not as strong as empower.
Yeah, I guess it probably would potentially take the place of engage. You would say educate, empower, and support. Yeah, is there agreement with that?
Stephanie, thoughts between engage or empower?
I like empower.
Aye. Laura, you said empower?
Empower.
Suzanne, you originally
You
said
said
empower.
empower.
Leslie? You're good with empower? Okay. I'll buy empower for $1.
Educate, empower, and support every student on a relevant and purposeful
Okay,
education
hold
journey.
on, stop rolling. So we're good with,
That's what I'm trying to get as to where
I'm
we're,
breaking it up one at a time, otherwise you confuse me. All right, so we're good on educate, empower, support every student. Everybody's good to that part. Okay. Now you can move on.
a relevant and purposeful education journey, which I guess is an adverb by your, I'm getting a tick of diagramming sentences on a chalkboard as a child. Educational journey, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Isn't that kind
I
of
don't
redundant?
know. I
We
don't
have
think it's supposed to have
educate and an educational journey.
Well, do you,
The noun is education journey.
do you need education there? Just on a purposeful journey?
Not really.
That's what I'm wondering, if it almost, does it really,
Redundant.
yeah, do you need it? It's a purposeful journey.
Yeah.
Lifelong, purposeful, lifelong journey.
Well, they're a purposeful lifelong journey, then you get your lifelong,
You get your
Or-
lifelong.
a relevant and, I know you,
Except
don't-
this is what we're doing to them now while we have them for 14 years versus what we want them to be when they're gone.
yeah. I definitely think,
That's just. That's just a little awkward. I don't know that it all follows well.
if you
Support
eliminate,
every student on a journey. I've got to think some more.
Support every student to become a lifelong learner and
Yeah, what's in 3?
future leader.
All right, we're going to pause on that little middle thing, and everybody's going to marinate on that for a minute. To become, all right, Laura wants lifelong learner somewhere in there. Hold on, let's look. Let's figure out what all we might
There
want
was a
in
lot of
there.
support for that phrase in the community
Correct.
meetings.
yeah.
All right.
You-
Is anyone against inspiring, confident, or contributing? And does somebody have anything else to add other than lifelong?
I mean, you could, to
Make a
become
great place or not.
lifelong learners who are confident and contributing members of our community. Prepare them to become lifelong learners who are confident and contributing
Or
members.
confidently, and, wait,
We could do it that way. I
Confident
tried that in my
contribute.
head, but I know it adds a phrase at the end of it, which we were trying to
lifelong learners.
become lifelong learners who are
Confidently
confident,
contribute to our community.
confident and contributing members.
No, confidently contribute.
Oh, that's good. Confidently contributing.
It's awkward.
Contribute
Is it too?
It's awkward.
Okay.
to our community.
But we're working lifelong, Laura, into the to become.
Okay, and that ditches inspiring out of there, which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
So something like, educate, empower, and support every student to become lifelong learners, preparing them to become confident, contributing members of our community.
Yeah, say that again, because that might be,
It's taking out the relevant and purposeful education journey.
Yeah.
That's the part that
gets kind
bothers
of
me.
clunky in the
Yeah.
middle.
Or just leave one word, relevant, because I think we liked
They
relevant.
strive to
Take out
become
purposeful.
confident.
You see that?
Relevant kind of includes purposeful.
Partners with families and the community to educate, empower, and support every student as they strive to become confident and contributing members of our community. That doesn't put the lifelong in it.
I think if you can get lifelong learners into what you just said, then
Yeah.
we're really close to it.
Yeah, although Laura, you heard a bunch of the meetings, like, there was so much concern over what we're teaching kids, right? And that, like,
The
it's
content,
relevant to their life.
curriculum?
Like, yeah, but not from a micro level, from a macro level, like, are we teaching kids
Well, like civics.
everything
mentioned
they
that.
need to go out and be, not productive members of society? That's not in there, I know, but, because that's in all of them.
No, they felt there were major key things missing, that we don't teach civics, for example. That came up several times.
Yeah, I think probably got to that in Portrait of
I was gonna say, I have the
Yeah,
civic
yeah,
stuff
that's
at the
too
portrait,
specific.
yeah.
That's too specific for this.
Hold on, I'm gonna try and figure out where we're at with some of this. Educate, power. and
I think that-
support.
I think that got in the Portrait of a Graduate, Laura, the thing we were just talking about. I think-
civics.
I think, well, it may be that we need to include the word civics in the Portrait of a Graduate, because you're right, that did come out.
Student. I was gonna say, are you trying to write down what you said, Suzanne? Okay. so I've heard it a couple different ways, and I want to hear it again once you have it down.
So what I have is Judson ISD partners with families in the community to educate, empower, and support every student to become lifelong learners,
Hold on, pause. To become, just so I can become lifelong learners, okay, comma.
preparing them to become, Liz repeats become, but we can fix that. Then preparing them to become confident and contributing members of our community.
I'm going to go ahead and go there. Do we like our community or their community or the community?
I kind of like the JISD community.
Okay. Well, okay, do we want to like, that doubles, like, now let's don't get confused about our, that's the JISD.
I mean, yeah. But that's just me.
Okay,
Go back to
Yeah, replay
preparing
it.
them to be, yeah.
well,
I
do,
think you said become the second time. I've now changed it to
I
be.
don't like repeating that.
No, I think I went to be, but I'd have to hear the rest of it. Was it confident contributing to,
Preparing them for a future as confident and contributing members of our community.
that flows.
That's good.
hold on, say that again.
To become lifelong learners, preparing them for a future as confident and contributing members of our community.
I don't write that fast, Suzanne. Hold on, I got preparing them for a future
To become,
As
as
confident and contributing members of
As-
our community, of the JISD community.
I don't know if I'd specify it to JISD.
I think our
It's
gets,
like, you can't leave or you're
Right.
gonna,
yeah. Well, and I guess that's what I was thinking
Well,
about.
then, that's what you're talking about. Is it our or is it their? If they leave us or if they come back? It's still
Any-
theirs if it's ours and
Any
they're here.
community they enter.
Well, I was thinking more like what Laura just said, any community, whether it's here or anywhere in the world, that is their community, wherever they are.
So members of the
Maybe it's
community.
Maybe
contributing
that's
community
not-
members, and that way we'd just avoid that word altogether.
Well, that,
To contribute to their
Confident
community.
contributing
Their-
community members.
or contribute to their community, is that what we're,
Wherever they may be.
Okay, you said it way too many
Contributing
words.
members
yeah.
of their community. And then if you
I
say
think-
their, then that's wherever they end up, whether it's here.
I kind of,
somewhere
and
else.
again, I'm just
But,
thinking
yeah.
about it out loud with y'all. I seem to be landing on there, because it's kind of like wherever
Because
they
they
want.
take it with them wherever,
Or they're here, or they stay here. It's either.
wherever they are. Yeah.
Wherever they are. Okay, do we want to do a reading? I think we're like 99% there. That-
Yeah, what do
Yeah,
you
let me-
have now?
You follow along, Suzanne. Let me see if I have what I think you have. Judson ISD partners with families and the community to educate, empower, and support every student to become, is it a lifelong learner? I didn't know. Or lifelong learners.
To become lifelong learners.
Okay, all right. To become lifelong learners, preparing them for a future as confident, contributing members of their community. Did I get all that right? Okay, sorry, I have a lot of scribbles on here.
Yeah, I mean, it flows. There's not like a tongue-tie piece to it, if that's important. Starts with the community, ends with the community. Starts with a partnership with the community,
Yeah, that's, I
and
think.
then ends with their community. It's almost like a handoff. I hadn't thought about that. I kind of like that aspect of it. What started as us working together as a partner in a community became their community, wherever they are.
Leslie, how you feel about that? Any words you want to add, change? Okay. Oops, sorry. I'll say,
Yes,
anything else you're circling that's burning that you want to bring up?
Oh, no, all of the ones that I circled, on my notes are in that
In there
statement,
somewhere?
so
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, and
but-
some of this stuff will show up in the mission, we still got to do, vision and profile of a graduate. So some of the things will be in a future thing,
Because
so.
I think I kind of like what Dr. Gibson is going, where they started from here, and then once they go out, they become like there, and it
Yeah.
kind of like branches off, like build kind of like a Judson family again to where they are.
Well, and again, that was not my idea. I was just repeating what you guys were landing on, and I just like.
I like how you explained it.
Right, but I like that it's a handoff to them, and I don't know, that's a good sign of a mission statement.
Oh, hold on, I'm gonna go around. Kristen, any burning words you don't see yet that are, okay? Suzanne, I know you're good, you wrote it, right?
With help.
Okay. Laura, any other,
Nope, you got the
most of the big,
lifelong learner in there. I like that.
okay,
And,
all right. Stephanie?
yeah,
I had only wrote for the end that prepare them to be confident contributors of their community.
Can we say
Kinda
that
got that.
again?
Well, no.
oh, confident contributors.
Yes.
Instead of confident and contributing members. That is more succinct.
So is everybody
on.
good with, it?
Yeah.
Hold on, I need to write that down somewhere.
Confident contributors, that's better.
There's an episode of The Office, why use more word when less do fine?
Yeah.
But there's a line there that too few is too few, but
Yeah.
that is very succinct. You don't lose anything, and
Confident contributors, what's the second half of it?
That prepare them to be confident contributors of their community.
That's-
In their communities?
Yeah, I don't know, of works there. I
In?
I think
Maybe in their
in
community?
works there. You have to be careful with prepositions and what follows them.
Contributors to.
English nerd.
Contributors to their community.
To or in.
In their community.
Stephanie, I like two for some reason now that it's been, I'm a confident contributor to
To their community?
my community, like I'm doing something.
I like that.
I'm serving. Okay, we got there, thank you.
Hold on, I'm going to read the most, I'm sorry, the most recent version is now, Judson ISD partners with families and the community to educate, empower, and support every student to become lifelong learners, preparing them for a future as confident contributors to their communities. Okay.
It's present tense, describes the who, the what, and the why.
Less words is always better.
And we got some of the verbiage tightened up.
Less things. All right, Dr. Gosh? You're good? Mary? Ceci? Okay. Okay, that changed, yeah. It was slightly clunky, but none of us could figure out how to declunk it. So thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, next page in the packet is vision statement. So from the totality of everything that was submitted, and we didn't specifically say, now I want keywords for vision, if y'all remember, because I would argue that we had portrait of a graduate, we had mission, we had enough. So, and I'm just going to tell you, I just took all that and just talked to my friend Claude and said, write me some sample vision statements. And these are pretty good. So these are based on all, like the totality of everything that we had on chart paper. And so option 1 is a future-ready vision statement. Option 2 is a whole child and community. Option 3 leans in to ready for what comes next. Option 4 leans into learners, leaders, and citizens. Option 5 leans into excellence and character. Option 6 leans in to empowerment, a word that we've chose now to be a part of the missions, part of the mission statement. So the mission statement is present tense, vision statement is future tense. Like we're kind of looking, and I would argue option 5, option 2, I'm not saying we should be against those, but option 2, option 3, option 5, and option 6 don't necessarily lean into that future tense. If you see how some of the others say envision. In other words, if I close my eyes, so this kind of gets to the fundamentals of a vision statement. There's 2 ways to think about it. It can be a more succinct mission statement that kind of just drives home that mission, or it's I close my eyes and this is what I see. And I don't know, I've always kind of leaned into, it doesn't make it right, but I've leaned into I'm closing my eyes, this is what I see, and that's that envisioned piece. Okay, so these are just the samples again. Now with the handout that came out tonight, there was a smash-up version, if you will. At Judson ISD, every student belongs, discovers their purpose, embraces limitless opportunities, and creates a future filled with possibility.
Yeah, those were kind of the 4, again, visions are supposed to be a little bit aspirational.
Yep.
I don't like them to be too long. Our current one is producing excellence. It's only 2 words, right? So like visions are generally, most of the ones I've seen from school districts aren't extraordinarily long, and it's the thing people want to grab onto aspirationally, where you only have 3-4 words that are just, if you ground in anything, you got to ground in one of those 4 words when you're doing all of that. So specifically the words belonging, belonging meaning every student feeling welcome in their school and wanting to come to school, and that sweet little angel from Crestview that was at the one meeting, and she was just so, I think she was going into 2nd grade. Just, what do you love? I just love going to school and being with my teacher. That's it, right? And so we want every student to belong and feel like they belong on all of our campuses.
And the yoga ball.
Yes,
Yeah,
that too, right? And that every student has some sort of purpose, because back to the whole kids start just wandering around taking random classes, like you got to be on a mission. Like we've got something to get done here in these 14 years. Opportunities, because if you've heard the commissioner speak enough time, public education is the great equalizer, because it does not matter if you're the richest student or the poorest student in our district. Every opportunity is available to you. Every kid has an equal chance of going to Harvard. every student has an equal chance of being the valedictorian. Every opportunity, what you want to be, is open to every kid in this district. And that's what we provide. And that everything's possible, really they want to be very future focused so that whatever you do want to do, that no one tells you, no, that's not an option for you. And we had some SPED teachers and some other people in there too, which is about what's possible for each kid, because that doesn't look the same for every student. And the uniqueness of whatever possibilities are out there for each student, that is carefully crafted to meet their needs, right? And so that may look different for an autistic student than it does for someone else, right? And making sure that those successes and they have everything they need to move whatever that next chapter is, right, in their life.
So the key concepts in the hybrid are belonging, purpose, opportunities, and possibilities.
Yes,
That's the through line for those.
correct. Those are like the 4 things on a poster. I'll let everybody
Thoughts?
marinate for 30 seconds. And I'll reverse and go the other direction this time. Oh, I had skipped you last time, Dr. Dixon, I'm sorry.
I'm good.
You're good. All right,
Good.
Ceci and Mary? Any initial thoughts? Otherwise, we'll make another loop around to you guys. Some people don't like going first. Dr. Gosh? Ms. Jones?
I liked option 2, but I thought it was kind of wordy. And so I was looking, I guess it's kind of includes stuff from that and what you had wrote. I have Judson ISD prepares every student to reach their potential, build strong character, and become responsible citizens who positively impact their community.
Yeah, do you,
You're gonna
repeat it.
You're gonna have to repeat that really slow, because that was like a
yeah.
whole mashup, so
No.
we had to process each one of those words.
Judson ISD,
Just before you start, Stephanie, this is a
Number 2.
alignment to option 2, something similar to option 2? Is that
Yes.
what okay, all right, okay. All right,
All right, Judson ISD.
prepares every student to reach their potential, build strong character,
Oops, slow down, reach their potential. I'm sorry, what was after potential?
build strong character,
Okay,
and become responsible citizens who positively impact their community.
again, just an observation. In hindsight, that almost, I guess it took me to tonight to get here, so I apologize for what I'm about to say. That almost reads like a mission statement.
I just thought the same thing.
Yeah, is that what y'all, okay.
Yep.
And by the way, no blame, because I provided the options, and it's just now realized, I mean, I'm just now clicking that the will things, every one that says will, really sounds a lot like a mission statement. So I'm not, I'm leaning more towards the envision part, or the empower, right? Like the vision is that they are empowered for, yes ma'am.
What if you said something like, Judson ISD envisions students who reach their potential, build strong character, and become responsible citizens?
As simple
If you do
as-
it something like that instead of,
That is closer, now I'm hung up on my own options a
Yeah.
little bit. You're untangling it, because that, you need to be closing your eyes and seeing the
Yeah.
picture. So it's a way to get to what Stephanie's proposing. Ms. Kenoyer, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
What Ms. Jones is,
Could you say that again, Judson?
Judson ISD envisions students who reach their potential, and then whatever Stephanie, the rest of Stephanie's.
On the premise, some of that is also
But-
profile of the graduate.
But yeah,
Right.
Like what we want the students to look like.
so does it have to be like,
Do, yeah.
does
No,
it have to be like a whole statement like this?
No.
Because I really like the bolded words.
Oh, yeah,
And can't we
no.
do something like that as a bit, I mean,
You
flesh it out just a
can.
tiny bit, maybe?
yeah, well, if you, yes, Ms. Kenoyer, in the absence of a portrait of a graduate, you might need this statement. But if you have the portrait of a graduate, you might be able to get
Like a
away with
slogan.
it being more like a slogan or a tagline. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was about to say. I was going to say tagline. So the vision is belonging, purpose, opportunity, possibilities.
Yep.
I like that. I like one-word bullets.
Yeah, it's belonging, period,
Instead of a
purpose, period,
narrative.
opportunities, period. We just have to make sure it doesn't spell anything bad. You knew where I was going. Yeah, we just had to make sure. She started laughing before. Yes. Belonging.
You know what
purpose.
kids will do with it.
Yeah. Bebop. I thought we had bebop, but no one would know.
It's not K-pop, so.
Yeah. I kind of, because we have, I'm confirming but because we have the portrait of graduate, we get a lot of this worked out in the portrait of a graduate. I kind of like this, just tagline, just keep it. For one thing, those things can go on a pencil or on a T-shirt. I know that sounds silly, but,
Could we,
Yes, ma'am.
Quadrants of a pretty little square.
that's right, yes.
so like the boldface items, could we do something just like that, the tagline, something like empowering the whole child for life?
Okay, say it, where would that be?
Because how you have the options and you have the bold print,
Oh, I got you.
kind of just describing what's put there.
Yeah, and what are you,
I just wrote down empowering the whole child for life.
Well, I think we have empower though in the mission statement already.
Oh, did we?
Yes, we ended up with educate, empower, and support.
Okay.
We're at 3 verbs in that one.
I really like the learners, leaders, citizens, because that does reflect what we talked about in the mission, is that they're lifelong learners. We want them to be citizens in their community, and to be inspiring and contributing makes them leaders.
I like it succinct.
Yeah, but not everybody's a leader. We throw that around, we hope some kids grow up to be leaders, but honestly, this planet needs a lot more followers than it needs, leaders.
I think
It needs
everybody-
Great followers, great teammates, that.
I
kind
think everybody can be a leader in their own way. It doesn't necessarily have to be something in the community or in politics or whatever, but you can be a leader in your family, you can be a leader in your club, you can be a leader on a team, you can be a leader in lots of different ways.
yeah, I accidentally wound up being a leader in church, never intended to do that. Man, no more restful weekends. But to your point, like, I am a leader, like, I think I was the last one to show up for a meeting, is how that happened. I got voluntold, is exactly right.
But I'm not married to that,
Yeah. I want to go, so what, if we, maybe there's a permission structure here, when we have the mission, since we have a portrait of a graduate that really gets in to the vision, is there a vision, meaning something future tense that's really succinct? In other words, if we did this stuff, is that the mission language right here? Okay, here, if we have this mission statement and we close our eyes and all that stuff happened, if we delivered on that mission, what do we see now with a child 10 years from now, 20 years from now? They're empowered.
Yeah, but it's not the vision it's the vision of what Judson ISD is. Not our vision for a student. That's not what a district vision statement is what is Judson? and we are a place
Yeah, that's
where
fair,
we are
yep.
doing this.
Yeah,
Not the
Versus-
result? Not,
Yeah,
It's
not the
of
result.
student, that's portrait of a graduate.
oh, because that's, a lot of that's what this
yeah.
is.
You're right, though. That's what we're getting at. That's why that's why we like the concept of the portrait of a graduate, because we're getting to that. I kind of at a standstill here, and I got us there, and do we agree that we want something that's less of a sentence and more of a tagline because we have the portrait of a graduate?
Yep.
I mean, I'm happy, I think, oops, sorry, on my microphone, yeah, no, I think, again, I'm thinking posters and pencils and all of those types of things, so having 4 words, and then obviously there's always a slightly expanded version of that, and then there's always a much more expanded
Right.
version of that, right? But I do
So
think.
maybe a
the
way to get
tag-
at it is just go at these 4 words
Yeah.
that the smash up created: belonging, purpose, opportunity, and possibilities.
Yeah,
And there may have already been a conversation started about a replacement for those. But
yeah, and then we can wordsmith kind of some better
what ones?
taglines for them, appropriate taglines.
So what's on the table are, on the vision pillars, what's labeled belonging, purpose, opportunities, and possibilities. Ms. Jones, do you see those vision pillars, the belonging, purpose, opportunities, and possibilities? Was there anything in yours that either aligns to those or might be a substitute for?
Because I know I have character and citizenship are on the profile of a graduate. I know that. Those are 2 of the things I just wrote down from yours.
It may be a good idea to look at the portrait of a graduate page while we finish this very last step of vision, so that you're seeing what's going to be included in the portrait of a graduate.
Yeah, maybe should we put a pin in this, go to that, and come back?
But that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. To make sure all the other good words people have written down show up somewhere
Well,
in one of
and
these 3 things.
now I'm remembering and by the way, I think it was in y'all's email, I got stuck trying to get home from the Rio Grande Valley at the end of last week.
In the rain.
In a car, crossing little areas like Cibolo Creek, and, okay, so it turns out you can turn a 9-hour drive into a 15-hour drive by just circling around in the hill country trying to find a clear. So that was the day. So you're getting a lot of this. Maybe it's good, though, because a lot of it wasn't as refined. But I know on the portrait of a graduate, if you look on that back page of just this graphic, the belonging, purpose, opportunities, and possibilities were some key themes that popped out of that right here, right? So this is almost what we're proposing is the vision. The portrait's built around that vision.
Yes, I did. Yes, sorry, I did that too.
Well, I'm just,
Yes.
because these were key themes that came
Correct.
through from
Yes.
the
If we're-
key words
yeah.
from the portrait of a
If Judson
graduate.
is a belonging environment, then they leave and graduate with that.
So there's another way to look at this. This can be our vision statement, whatever these 4 key words are, but then they're going to live right here. The portrait of a graduate's designed around that vision, right? That's what we're saying, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Like belonging was all the stuff while they're in school and every day while they're with us, but so much of the community talked about after you graduate, you are still part of the Judson ISD community, and you always will be, class of '04, class of '89, right? You walk around, everybody knows their, what year they were. And so that belonging continues after you leave here. Your purpose continues after you leave. Your opportunities, we will have opened for you after you leave, and then show us you took advantage of your possibilities.
So I guess it's back to these 4 words: belonging, purpose, opportunities, and possibilities. I'll put a pen in vision. or we want to settle it tonight?
What were the 4 words? Belonging, purpose?
Opportunities and possibilities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that portrait of a graduate kind of, so Kristen, I'm gonna pick on you, or y'all say it, like, what are you brainstorming over there?
We were just saying the
Oop, get a microphone.
shorter is better. So lead, learn, achieve. Excellence without limits, which kind of goes to the endless possibilities. Inspire, empower, I don't know.
Are you on vision or portrait?
Yeah, she's.
We were talking about going back to the vision,
Yeah.
just the short.
Yeah,
Because
if you're
this,
looking for like a, not,
You're looking for a slogan.
a
Yep.
very succinct slogan, basically.
there's something about number 3 that if I'm a parent, I can get that.
Option 3,
Ready
vision.
for what comes next.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, I was just thinking about
I mean,
our
that's a pretty
mission.
good vision statement, ready
Yeah.
for what comes next.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Like, our mission statement is, this is who we are, this is what we stand for. Like, the vision statement, I think, really lands when it's shorter. I feel like that hits with parents.
I mean, if you close your eyes and you get a picture of a student who is ready for whatever
Right.
comes next, that's not a bad image to have. I never would have thought about just the header. You don't like it?
No. Again, that's like a commercial tagline, right?
I thought that's
Without
what,
any meat behind it. Like,
all this stuff right here.
seems like fluff. Sorry.
No, no.
What is the
Seems like-
slogan?
Totally okay. I'm just saying something
Correct.
all
about 3 when I read it.
It's fluffy words, right? And we're just trying to instill meaning, but it's all, it's just a bunch of
Yeah.
words that we're trying to make sound really.
Yeah, no. I was just trying to pull from the words that we heard from the 6 groups.
Yeah.
That's where those 4 were by far the most compelling themes from the groups.
I would argue that everything that are in all 8 of these, or 6 of these options, I mean.
Where'd you get ready for what comes next? Did that come from a meeting? I don't remember it.
For this list, or,
Yeah, did it come from?
yeah, I just
Someone
threw
said
in
it.
every word. I said, go look at the SWOT, go look at the portrait of a graduate, look at all of that, and then what would be some vision options. So theoretically, it was supposed to be looking at every word that was produced in the whole enchilada, all 7 meetings. What about the concept of the excellence with character as a slogan? Excellence with character, empowered for life.
Excellence without limits, empowered for life.
Excellence without limits, empowered for life.
Endless possibilities kept coming up.
Yeah.
But on the vision, are we supposed to describe Judson? Or,
Yeah, it's an aspirational, future tense, close your eyes. If we do all this right, if we do the portrait of a graduate right, if we do the mission statement right, this is the picture we have in our mind.
of Judson? That's what I'm trying to.
Well, I mean, I think that's where we are right now, because some are picturing in their mind a actual individual student, and then some are picturing the district as a whole. And I don't think neither are wrong and neither are right. It's just we have to land on one or the other.
I think one of the themes that came up a lot, and I understand where Dr. Saunders was going when it says ready for what comes next, but if we kind of combine the words, I don't know if something, just combining a couple of these together to kind of say, because many people felt like that our students needed to understand their purpose. So what we do in the classroom needed to be driven by purpose for what they needed, but that we also wanted our students to be focused on the future, but then also the district. I know, in fact, one of the sessions we had in here, we even took it in front of the picture of future back there. Could you shorten it to be something that is a little bit of these words of like purpose-driven and future-focused? As far as the vision for where the district is going, we are purpose-driven and future-focused.
I would ask the group to respond. So it's
Haven't even written it
Yeah, purpose-driven, and I'll just try to repeat it, purpose-driven, comma, future-focused, right?
And, either way, either.
Or and.
Okay, I might not hate that. I'm still milling on it, but I don't.
We used to say one one something.
Yeah, if you look at the 4 words that came out, belonging, purpose, opportunity, and possibilities, you got 2/3 of that in this statement, basically. That may have been where you were starting, like, look,
One home, one family. Was that a vision statement?
That was nothing, that was a slogan. One home, one family is a slogan.
Okay.
So it wasn't part of mission, vision, or anything else.
It's kind of a theme.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think again, the reason that we're settling on we might have something slogan-ish is that we have a portrait of a graduate that really gets into this future vision.
Leslie, what do you think? The most recent one put out was purpose-driven and future-focused.
And I hate to change it, but I'm not really changing it, but I mean, you can say students are purpose-driven and future-focused. I mean, then, well, I mean, but that makes it a vision statement. I'm just trying to make it an actual vision statement. I mean, that makes it a vision statement. Graduates are.
Driven by
Remember, vision isn't necessarily
purpose,
students. It's
focused on the
does.
future?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good,
Driven by purpose, focused on the future?
same words, more of a statement.
And maybe like a play on words, driven, right? So then maybe like bound for the future.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like driven by purpose, bound for the future.
What was the second half of the sentence? I'm sorry.
Focused on the future.
On the future, okay, sorry. Just want to make sure we're down.
And again, are we talking about Judson or the students we?
Yeah, I mean, I
It's the
keep,
vision of Judson.
yeah, I keep going the other way, obviously.
Well, our vision is what happens with students.
Yeah, but I'm
So,
kind of leaning
you know,
there,
it's-
but then I think that's where we're like,
Yeah.
we're kind of
Are we going to
split.
focus on the product, or are we going to focus on
Yeah.
the way we create the product?
What Ms. Jones presented almost does both.
Yeah,
That's what's kind of, I think that's why
because because the district would be driven by purpose
That's
also.
right.
And focused on the future also.
That's why I think that
And the
kind
students
of
could-
resonated, because it checks both boxes, students and the district. The district needs to be driven by purpose and
Yeah,
focused
and
on
we
the
have to be
future.
focused on the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yes.
I hate to say winner, chicken dinner, but it's feeling pretty.
It's always the
And I
quiet
prefer
ones
the
in
focus
these groups that
group.
sit and put it all together, and
Yeah.
then they say something, and everybody's like, da, da, da.
Yeah, it's feeling pretty. I don't want to prematurely celebrate, but I think I'm going to have a packet of gummy bears because I skipped dinner and so I need some sugar. So it's going to be, thank you. Thank you.
All right, am I hearing any objections to that?
Driven by purpose, comma, focused on the future.
I like it. All right, I'm not seeing objections.
All right.
Keep rolling.
It's always the
There we go.
quiet ones.
It's
so
always
like-
the quiet ones
Yep.
or synthesizing. You always need a couple of those in the.
One little grammar note, it should be a semicolon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I figured some English major.
It's joining clauses.
Yeah, gotcha.
Can't be a.
That reads a lot better now. Okay, the portrait of a graduate is a little bit different. There are a lot of semantics involved with this, but they're more functional and less poetic or prose, if you will. And I can tell you, working on this portrait of a graduate was a lot of fun for me because there was a lot of good information that was captured, and then just going through iterations. In the base packet, it's same stuff. Did this do any synthesis, remind me, or is it?
Yes, no, I
really-
synthesized because you had way too many words on it.
Yeah, okay. So which was fine,
It was even too many categories. It was like 7 categories.
Right.
Nobody wants 7, I don't think.
Well, and so the key is in that last round of synthesis, did we carry the through line? Yes, ma'am.
I just have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
Could we take like a
Yeah.
5-minute break so nobody misses anything?
Yes.
Yes,
Is that
I think-
possible?
Yes, all right. The time is now 7:10, and we are in recess till 7:15.
How many gummies are over there? Yay.
All right, the time is 7:17, and we are back from our recess. All right, I'll turn it over, I guess, back to you, Dr. Gibson, for profile of a graduate.
Sorry, I unmiked and I forgot that I unmiked. So in the base packet for tonight, there were 7 core competencies that took all the words and did not do like a final round of refinement. Then the prettier graphic one that collapsed those 7 core competencies into these 4 core competencies. So the big topics are what students know, how students think, number 2, how students think, number 3, how students interact, and then number 4, who students are. You see the subheading. So the academic, I'm going to go back to number 1, the academic knowledge and future readiness, that came through loud and clear. Ms. Stanford, you mentioned earlier that we may want to consider civics as part of that, the stuff that's down below. I know it says core content, but civics was called out like a handful of times. You mentioned earlier that civics came out as part of it. I don't know if it fits. To me, it fits somewhere like in that space.
Yeah, and I don't know if that fits in 1 or 4, because we're trying to get good citizens.
Yeah.
So is civics part of creating good citizens? I don't have it down there either.
But I think it fits in one or the other. I mean, I think it fits in one of
Well,
those.
he goes over them, Laura. Think about 1 or 4 for civics. I'm going to write that down on the yes side.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of the things that have been, mentioned heretofore. The one other, I'm not going to read through all of these, but I do, no, I see it. How students think, and the second bullet, the resiliency and the adaptability and the persistence. That, if you
Those
look,
were huge in our groups.
I just want to make sure everybody sees that. If you, like grit, if you remember, like we called it grit one night. So under the second, how students think, then it's number 2, and then the second bullet, resiliency, adaptability, and persistence. So anyway, I've been like reading a lot of things to you. I'm not going to keep reading to you. But how did these 4 major components land? I mean, you might compare them to the 7 things that was round 1 of the synthesis of information. So let me say it this way. Probably 10,000 words that were typed up about portrait of, no, I don't know, 5,000, no, probably 10,000 words that were typed up became these 7. And then these 7 in the big packet are now crystallized into these 4. That's one way to look at it and think about it.
I'm going to go with, thanks, Dr. Dixon, for pointing out that bullet 2 on number 1 is very similar to bullet 1 on number 2, that we could probably pull that bullet 2 on number 1, critical thinking and problem solving. That's probably more of how students think,
I think,
and should be over there with this.
I would argue a very good substitute for it might be understanding of civics.
Okay, yes.
And how,
Yes.
because that did come through, and I don't know exactly how that's worded, but Laura, you mentioned that earlier, and that did come out numerous times. I think that would be a good place for that to
I'm
land.
going to do it over here. So move that one down here, that one, and how do you write, which one of these is civics?
There, I don't, and Laura help, but in the big packet, core competency number 6, understands civic responsibilities and participates as an informed, engaged community member. I know there was some about civics that's that, and then some about just understanding how government works. I mean, I used to teach government and economics, so this is kind of near and dear to my heart, but I didn't want to I didn't bring it up. It came up organically.
Could it actually be delineated in number 1, bullet 1? It says strong foundation in literacy, mathematics, civics, and sciences.
Yeah,
I mean,
to me,
if we're going to put 2 of them, why don't we put them,
that's in my mind, I'd make it right, that it most logically hits right there. Ms. Kenoyer, I agree. Literacy, math, civics, and science.
Yep, got it. Love it. Yep.
And the sciences, I like
And
saying it that
sciences,
way.
Yes, perfect. Any objections to what?
What do we mean by core content? What were we?
No, we took that out.
I
Strong
know we would,
foundation.
but what was it? What did it represent?
It probably would have been science, social studies,
Yeah, it would have been the rest of,
everything else we'd kind of do, but
Okay, so civics and sciences.
yeah,
Well, to me, when
literacy,
you-
mathematics, civics, and science.
well, when you say literacy and mathematics, you've taken 2 of the 4 core competency, the core curriculum. So we've just added the other 2. That's a really good, I
Yep.
like that a lot.
Awesome. Okay.
Did you make this poster, Monica?
Well, you
This is-
just keep,
I'm a visual person. She puts too many
Just keep-
words on a page. I have to see how it's going to line out and like look to the public,
So this is your written stuff in picture?
Yes, written, and then I needed to see
Pictorial.
this visually of how this could be portrayed to the district. So we're not going to use this. We have a whole department that does this, but I needed to
Right.
see it visually.
but it did, just to be clear, Laura, it's one more round of crystallizing the big packet, if that makes sense. So it's like 4 pages in here on one page. So like you're really crystallizing it to the top stuff. And I say crystallizing because when you ask for support from our friends on the computer to do this, they are synthesizing and crystallizing, not omitting and dropping, right? But you have to keep telling it, don't drop the essence of it. Is that right? Like you can't just say cut 500 words.
Yeah, I think I told ChatGPT, that sucks, do something else today, but
Well,
it's still learning me.
yeah.
So we're looking for one sentence.
Well, I mean, kind of, sort of, to me, probably for the sake of tonight, like this, with whatever edits go on it, this becomes the portrait of a graduate.
It's so long,
Yeah,
so big.
Well,
Where would that go?
I guess it's less long and less big than the first cut that had 7 competencies.
This was me trimming down his 7 competencies into something less. So is there anything on here you think could be consolidated from 2 bullets down to 1, something that doesn't need to be on here? Or is there anything major that we missed from one of the other things?
These are repeat each other. Awesome.
Okay, hold on.
Are we going for one sentence or are we going for a poster? Just
I-
to clarify.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe somewhere in between. It's some bulleted statements. I will, if you do this right, this is just my opinion, then you start trying to say, okay, well, what are we going to do with the portrait of a graduate? Then you literally start writing curriculum around it. Like, how do we teach this? How do we inform this? So that's all coming later. So I would say just get it down to a poster. Get it down to a 1-pager that you can live with.
On number 1, could we combine the last 2 and say, identify and prepare for college,
Yes.
career, military service, or the workforce?
Yeah. It's just, you identify and prepare. You don't need to.
Yeah, maybe we might be able to get each of these down to only 2 or 3 at the most, because we're already dumping critical thinking and problem solving over to number 2. So we're already down 1 bullet. So if we combine those 2 into
Laura,
just dropping the 3rd bullet and just making the 4th, or did we change a word? Say what you said again, Stephanie. Sorry.
Identify and prepare for college, career,
Identify.
and all of that?
Okay. No, I didn't.
Ms. Stanford, earlier you were saying 1 sentence. You're saying instead of those bulleted points on this, or you were just saying 1, like,
Well, this starts with a sentence at the top.
gotcha.
So is that what we're looking to end up with?
No, I'm glad I clarified that. These were just really driving statements to try to get to this. That's the way I look at it.
So we're looking at kind of a picture. We're creating a picture more than a statement.
Yeah, and that's why I like the concept of calling it portrait of a graduate rather than profile of a graduate, for that reason.
So it's not multifaceted then. We're looking for
Correct.
something that has these 4 parts in it.
I think that's right. So I guess question number one is, do those 4 parts feel like the right 4 parts? This is getting more to the whole child. So what they know, how they think, how they interact, and then who they are. So academics, mindset, communication and collaboration, character and citizenship. It's almost like in case we missed anything in mission and vision,
It's all in here.
we got, like, we're catching it right
It's all-
here.
it's all in here.
We're making sure everybody knows clearly.
And where does this go? Just on our website or?
Well,
Website, posters, all over the place.
I mean, I think
Dais.
everywhere.
Yeah. A lot of it goes on the dais. When we're arguing about whether we should buy orchestra professional development or something else, we pull this out and be like, what's our mission? What's our vision?
Where does it align?
Where does it align with what we want for our graduates and our board goals? And that's how we frame our discussions. So hopefully this is not something that goes in a desk drawer. It can't be, because we've got to have something that is guiding what we do.
For the sake of tonight and just energy and thoughtfulness, I'm wondering, I mean, I think it's been really good work on mission and vision. I wonder if we should just settle that those are the right 4 categories. You know, like for tonight. Like
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and then if those are the right 4 categories, then, we can keep toying around, with the language.
My only thought was, based on a couple of things Dr. Dixon just circled and stuff like that, I'm wondering if 3 and 4 can be combined, because how we interact, that's in our community, that's our character, I think that could all be one, because a bunch of those things I think can be consolidated.
So I guess that's good. I mean, it's a good thought. Can 3 and 4 be combined?
Well, I don't think anybody's gonna read this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's got one-liners on here. Every student, every day, today's students, tomorrow's leaders, forever part of the Judson family. Judson will always be home. Wait, really?
Yeah,
I think Judson, the trifecta. What our students know, what they think, and who they are.
yeah.
Just a,
Yeah.
like a, the portrait is nice. I like that in the middle, but
Yeah, I think, again, and I mean, I just have to, I guess, share my experience is, and this doesn't make it right, but in extracurricular, we wanted to win, and sometimes that meant beating Judson, so like that's just a reality, right? Like we're head to head, and others. But in addition to wins and losses, what is important in extracurricular? Well, we used whatever these things that we're trying to come up with as the anchors to even if you lose this season, did you teach these things? Like, did the kids come out of there with character? Did they come out of there with citizenship? Did they come out of there communicating? Like we could at least fall back. So we wanted the outcome of the wins, but we wanted the process of making sure that we anchored our extracurricular and co-curricular to our portrait of a graduate. So there's like the formal curriculum of those events, and then there's the informal curriculum. I think the portrait of a graduate, actually we called it profile. I like portrait better now. I've matured into that. But the profile of the graduate was our informal curriculum with all things we did, especially at secondary schools.
That's what we were just saying.
Yeah.
This feels like, especially number 3 and number 4, is like your classroom commitments. Like if I'm a teacher, I have this on my wall.
Yeah, and you might even have classroom norms right beside it.
Correct. And we're talking about, are you leading with integrity and
Yeah.
accountability right now?
Yes.
I asked you to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
Like,
that was the vision.
Is that showing compassion and respect?
That's
Is that-
exactly right.
yep.
Yeah, instead, here's what we're trying to do, and how does that show or not show compassion and respect? So that's kind of the purpose of it. Sorry, I just kind of went off on why you do a portrait of a graduate.
No, but I think if we, in order, again, more is not always better, less is often better. I do think we could consolidate 3 and 4 into just who the students are, and I think we can wordsmith a bullet for communication, a bullet for collaboration,
Right.
a bullet for character, and a bullet for citizenship.
Yeah.
And then it's only 3
So
categories,
it's 1,
and
2,
that's less,
3.
and less is
So it's
better.
what they know, how they think.
What students know, what students think, and who students are. We don't need the how they interact, that's part of who they are.
Right, okay.
But whatever, merge these things into, one of these will be a communication, one will be a collaboration, one will be a character, and one will be a citizenship.
So I'm just going to play a game here. Where does critical thinking go?
No, that's how they think.
Okay, that's
That's
all
up there.
so
That's up
where
there.
does effective communication go?
And if we stick with those 4 words, that's 4 Cs. Who likes alliteration?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of
You
do.
like alliteration,
Yeah.
right? Maybe who we are as students, that's 4 Cs on a poster of how they communicate, how they collaborate, what their character is, and what their citizenship is too. So
Yeah,
I think we're going to play with that though.
yeah, this is
to that
important,
part.
but it's, tonight, truthfully, Portrait of a Graduate to me was just a relief valve to know you didn't have to have everything in your mission and vision.
Yeah.
We've got another bucket of things. Yes, ma'am.
Can you backtrack just a second and explain what Portrait of a Graduate is for people,
Yeah.
who may be watching, just everyday parents or citizens who don't know? I think we kind of take for granted that all of us sitting in here knows what that means.
Yeah, so
and
I
what
mean,
its
and I,
purpose is.
thank you, that's a good question. I mean, I'm going, without looking at my notes, I'm just going to, so the vision statement is extremely important because again, it's like where we're trying to take this, and I like where we landed, and you were a big contributor, the vision of how we work as a district, that's also the same that we want our students. So I'm going to go, where's our vision? That you heavily contributed, Ms. Jones.
There we go.
So, driven by purpose, focused on the future. Okay. Very good, tight, succinct vision statement. Now, if I'm a community member and I say, tell me more about that. Tell me what that looks like. That's why people started doing what was originally called Profile of a Graduate. So it was really to give more, information about that vision. To me, that's the classical definition. That's where it started. Tell me more about what is focused on what does that mean?
Yep.
And I know I was an elementary principal and I was a high school principal, but as a high school principal, I wanted concepts like this to anchor all of our stuff at secondary too. I wanted I wanted a true north of, let's try to win every single thing, guys. Kids, coaches, teachers, let's try to win it all. Academics, cheerleading, I don't care, let's win it all. But if we don't, did we do it with integrity? Did we do it with character? Did we do it with collaboration? I don't know, Ms. Jones, I kind of went along, but that's what it is, I think, to me.
So do we think we are good enough on mission and vision that is something we could approve tonight? And then in 2 weeks, we've got a couple more meetings coming up in August because this needs a little more wordsmithing. And you guys probably need a couple more minutes to digest it too. Come back with just this in 2 weeks, a different version of this.
I think it's a good idea to marinate on the mission and vision now and make sure it lines up with this Portrait of a Graduate, especially in light of the last definition I just gave. Because when you ask me, is this right, I need to go read that vision and really, and then look over here to this Portrait of a Graduate, make sure that's telling the story of what that vision means. So yes, I think that's a good idea. to
Okay,
give a little
'cause
bit of
this-
time.
Yeah, the mission and the vision is going to drive
It
everything
should
else.
drive.
That will drive
It should
this.
drive this. And I think
Okay,
that was
not this driving that. Okay.
correct. And I know, well, it's chicken or egg, and it's just your eyes go right to the left, left to the right. But ultimately, the mission and vision should be your big drivers, and we've
Correct.
settled those. So now we can go back and really look at the portrait of a graduate.
Okay.
So just one thing for people to maybe think about, who students are, for some reason, does not resonate for me. Could we just eliminate that, what students know, how students think, and go to the line below it? Academic knowledge and future readiness, mindset for success, and then communication, collaboration, character, and citizenship. And do it like that instead of those top
that
lines.
top line thing.
So just something to think about.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would replace who students are. I don't know,
We were
and that doesn't feel right to me. So
Yeah.
if we're going with these categories like this, maybe just something for people to think about as they come back to discuss.
Yeah.
I think in the next week, we can put together at least 3 different template type versions
Yeah.
that we can send out and people can mill on a couple of different versions, right? Like something like that, and if that more resonates.
Yeah, I mean,
Now that we have kind of a basic map of what we want it to look like, what it actually looks like, I think there's a number of different,
I think the-
including
yeah,
different
no-
category titles. I agree.
the 3, now it's clicking, and back to Ms. Jones' question, the basic components of a portrait of a graduate, a profile of a graduate are knowledge, skill, and character traits. Like that's, if you just keep whittling away, what knowledge do we want them to have, what skills do we want them to have, and what character traits
Yeah.
do we want them to have? And maybe those are,
Yeah. we'll
maybe
come up
those
with-
are, yeah.
Let's come up with a couple of different
Yeah.
options for them of different
Yep.
headings and see what resonates with people
Yep.
as catchiest and memorable, but still encompassing what we're trying to do in that thing. So,
I like that idea.
all right, board members, does that sound like a decent way ahead? Is everybody good enough on mission and vision that we could take action on that tonight? And then we'll come back for that first week of August, whenever that meeting is. But collaborate, everybody's got Greg's email, so like, oh my gosh, we're missing this, or, oh my gosh, I decided I hate this. Start communicating that stuff to Greg so that we can come up with some different options that we can ship back out to you guys for consideration then. And then we'll come back in 2 weeks, and then we'll still have it before, in theory, before school starts.
I want to
Forward.
commend the audience tonight. Usually Greg Gibson, mission, vision clears a room, so tonight, yeah. Oh. Strategic planning, my delicate ego. Everybody leaves the second it shows up on the, it's good. Yeah, okay, there's overflow room. Oh, they're all in the
I
overflow.
think part of that too is kind of the commitment we made to all of these groups.
Yeah.
Which was, this is not one and done.
Yeah.
Right? And I think Dr. Gosh's name of it, a visioning committee, was an amazing one where we're bringing them back every couple months because they're the ones that are also going to hold us accountable to this promise.
Yeah.
So bringing them in every couple months, what's the state of the district? Hey, what's been going on in Judson in the last 10, 15, or I'm sorry, spend 10 or 15 minutes talking about what the state of the district is with these community members and parents and staff that choose to come out and say, okay, how are we doing in terms of, are we educating kids? What does it look like academically? Are our kids lifelong learners? Which of these pillars are we doing well at, and get real-time feedback from them on how we're doing in accomplishing these things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why they're showing up in the room, because we kind of made them a promise that we
Yeah.
would move forward with that. So as we're looking at all of our different committees that we're going to have for this year, you and I we haven't sat down yet to go over all of those, but yeah, they're excited. If you build it, they will come, right? If you
Yeah.
create opportunities for the community to come have input, they will show up, because we have such an amazing community. And for those at home, this was the most diverse, amazing group, because we brought it to where they were. We brought it to each of the single-member districts. We had students, we had parents, we had staff, all the way up, including some principals came and sat down, which was amazing. We had elected officials, community members, and they represented every part of the district. And by bringing it to them, the small groups that participated, watching those authentic conversations. Of course, nobody wanted to talk first, except that one group. Somebody always wanted to talk first. But, once you got them started, we had to keep y'all on schedule because, like, the conversations could have gone on for hours because that community we have and that passion they have for Judson, it is real. And we just have to keep building these opportunities for our community because they want to be engaged. And it was just so amazing watching this process and knowing what this can mean in the future as we continue to really build the new Judson. I mean, that's really what we're doing. And we're going to do things differently. And I think everybody's committed to listening more and changing the way we do things. We can move forward, but we're not going to do that unless we're all moving forward together, the entire district and the whole community. So, all right, are you guys ready for a motion on mission and vision? I guess I'll do that separately. Yes, go ahead, Leslie.
I kind of wrote a question earlier when Dr. Gibson mentioned about when we have a permanent superintendent. So once we all wrap this up and we have our mission, vision, and everything, would this be kind of like our guide on selecting a
Could be.
superintendent? Because this is like, all of this are like our inputs and the community itself. So if
Yeah.
the superintendent really doesn't align on what our mission and vision is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
Because you mentioned about it could be changed, whoever is in the seat. But now that we're making one and we don't have the permanent,
yeah.
superintendent, so would that be kind of like
I think
a
it,
guide also?
yeah, I think it
or-
should inform or guide. And I mean, in most superintendent searches and processes, and I know Dr. Dixon knows about this, but I mean, you bring community members in to build a profile. And so, yeah, to me, you don't have to start from scratch. You've got a profile of a graduate, now let's build a profile of a superintendent, based on this profile of a graduate. That's a good question. No, good question.
Eventually, all these things are all going to be all aligned together. and
Theoretically,
all
so-
interplayed, and we're going to keep hearing the same words over and over because it's who we are. Those words are going to become our identity. Any other questions before I make a motion on the
The goal with
mission?
that ultimately is to make board meetings boring.
Go ahead, Ms. Lee. Yeah, you have another
No,
question?
is it okay if you would allow, say for like the community to know like the mission and then the vision and then we vote or?
Oh, yes, no,
Oh, okay.
I'm going to make a motion and I'm going to
And
read
then-
it out loud.
okay.
Correct, yes, so that we absolutely, and I'm going to say it really slow for Benny. Because you can't read my handwriting if I give this to you right now, so I'm going to say it slow so that you can transcribe it. All right, so I move that we approve the following mission statement for Judson ISD. Judson ISD partners with families and the community to educate, empower, and support every student to become lifelong learners, preparing them for a future as confident contributors to their communities. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, there, she jumped in first. All right, motion by Ms. Ryan, second by Ms. Lee. Any corrections? Did I read anything wrong? No? Okay. I had a lot of writing on that one, so. All right, any discussion? If not, all right, we're going to proceed.
Did you go with to or in? I didn't catch that part.
To their
Contributors-
communities.
To, okay.
Two, yes. All right,
Got
go
it.
ahead and vote. All right, motion with our new mission statement passes 5-0. All right. I now move that we approve the following vision statement for Judson ISD. Driven by purpose, focused on the future. Do I have a second?
Second.
Was that you, Laura?
Yeah.
Okay, motion by Ms. Ryan, second by Ms. Stanford. Did I read that correctly? I'm going to read the semicolon, they'll get that in there. All right, if no discussion, we will proceed to vote. All right, and that motion passes 5-0. All right. And then what we owe back in about a week or so is a draft of some other options on profile of a graduate, so that we can bring that back for action the first week of August for board approval. Sound good? Okay. Hold on, I gotta find my folder. Okay. We have 2 board members absent and legal counsel is not here. The only agenda item we are going to be able to do off closed session tonight is 5F. So the board will now adjourn into closed session.
Hold on,
pursuant to
I'm
the-
sorry, wait, hold on. We're skipping A, B, C, D, and E, and just going to F?
Correct, just F, and we are only going to go into F on 074, not 071.
So we're postponing A through E to another time?
Correct. When we have the rest
Okay.
of the board and legal counsel here.
Okay.
So the board will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meeting Act, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussion of appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, or discipline of employees to include principals, directors, and/or senior level administrators. The time is now 7:48 PM, and we are in closed session. All right, the board will now reconvene in open session. The time is, what time is it? 8:50 PM. No final decision or vote was taken while the board was in closed session. All right, we are going to move on to agenda item 5C. I will make that motion. I move that we approve the administrative appointments as discussed in closed session.
Second?
All right, motion by Ms. Ryan, second by Ms. Jones. And we will proceed to vote. All right, and motion passes 5-0. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 8:51 PM.